time to huddle up. Bob Slovak here with the consummate pro, Jason Alexander. Happy New Year, everyone. I hope you had a great Christmas. How was your Christmas, Jason?
Oh, couldn't have been any better. Santa Claus came. We enjoyed a wonderful, wonderful amount of family time, Bob. I hope you did as well.
Did.
You talk about a loaded, and I mean loaded, huddle up here coming today. I can't wait.
Yeah, we got a lot going on in this one. We're going to start with our headlines. We'll start with the Rockets. And, Jason, they're kind of stuck on 10 right now.
They've been stuck on 10 for about 5 games. And I tell you, the Rockets Mendoza-wide, we'll say the recipe for success. If they can score about 114 points, they got a good chance, except last night. But they can't quite find that magic mix of a little bit of defense and a little more offense. And I'm telling you, it comes down to about 5 more buckets and 5 more stops, and we're off to the races. I'm not giving up yet. I think the old magic number, we got to go 17-30 for me to hit that total wins bet. So I'm not selling quite yet.
It's doable. They lose to the Lakers last night. They've got the Heat coming up on Friday. The schedule gets a little bit rough right now. Then they got the Nuggets. They got the 76ers, Mavericks. Yeah, it's getting a little hairy.
January, they're going to have to play some ball to get about. We just need about 5 wins in January,
okay,
I think, to give us a chance. But I'm telling you, the schedule is going to get very difficult here over the next 5 weeks. So we'll see if Jalen Green coming back. They play a little bit more defense. They've got the athletes to do it. And I tell you, watching the highlight reel, Bob, we've got some high flyers. It is fun to watch.
They got some talent.
They just got to shoot a little better and have a few more stops.
All right. I don't know if it was a win-win or a win-loss last week, but somehow the Texans pulled one out and beat the Charge. I mean, what a shocker.
Did anybody see that coming? Hey, God. A playoff team, Justin, Bear, I'm telling you, they came in with all the momentum, and the Texans, out of nowhere, Davis Mills, are you kidding me?
Well, that brings up a good point. I was going to ask you about Davis Mills. Is he starting to grow up a little bit here? I mean, he only played 11 games in college, and then now he's got some games under his belt. He seems to be grasping it a little bit better.
I think he's had a few really good games at home. I think the rest of the season is going to be kind of a telltale sign. I can't wait to talk to Indy Kalu, our guest, about what next year holds for Davis Mills, especially that quarterback draft class being a little bit weak coming next year. But, hey, he's second in the league for rookies in touchdown passes.
Yeah.
I tell you what, not bad. He's only played half the games.
And, of course, David Culley, there was some talk, is he going to be back? Is he going to be back? Well, yeah, he's doing what he needs to do. He's going to be back.
They got to give him one more year. Yeah. And I tell you, taking a little peek at Davis Mills next year, let's burn some draft picks, get rid of Deshaun. Let's build our lines up on both sides of the ball and see where that takes us.
What I like about David Culley is he's always the same. He's always upbeat, ready to go. I mean, you had a coach here not too long ago where the moods went like this, depending on how the team was playing. This guy, man, he comes in, he's excited to be here.
Absolutely. If we're down 40-0 in Buffalo or up by 20 against the Chargers, he's the same.
Same guy. Give him a shot. Coming up, okay, this week, 49ers, that's who the Texans got. Now, Garoppolo might not play.
It looks like he's out. It's going to be the Trey Lance show in San Francisco this Sunday. 12.5's the line right now.
Wow.
The Texans getting quite a few points. And, the Niners D's, hey, we're going to find out about Davis Mills on the road. And to answer your question that you asked, I think we've got to see a little more from Davis on the road. We play a competitive game against the Niners. I think that's going to earn him another shot next year.
All right, the other big game this weekend, Cowboys and Cardinals. Both those teams still chasing the Packers for the top seed. The Cardinals getting points in Dallas.
They are. They're getting 5.5. It's going to be one of our pros picks this week. I hate to bet against Dallas, but look, if last Sunday didn't exist and that Washington game didn't happen, this would be a pick'em game. So the NFL is always an overreaction league. The Cardinals still have one of the best rosters in the NFL. This is going to be a ball game, 3 points either way. We're going to take the Cardinals, but I expect Arizona at some point here, they're going to get off the schneid and get back to playing some good football. Their roster's simply too good.
All right, the college bowl season is underway, and there have been some great games. Congratulations to the U of H Cougars knocking off Auburn yesterday with a great game.
How far have they come since that game against Texas Tech? To begin the year, we had a huddle up, and we're like, oh, my goodness, it's going to be a long year for old Dana Holgorsen and in the Cougars, and to finish it off with a bowl win against the SEC team, unbelievable.
Yeah, great season for the Cougs and Coach Holgorsen. All right, the other thing about the bowl season, COVID is just knocking games off left and right. What's your thoughts on that?
It's running rampant everywhere, and it's really sad to see, and especially for the seniors that are going out and to play a bowl game, and that's their swan song and kind of the pinnacle of their career, to go out on a high note and to have the game canceled. I feel bad for a lot of the players, and we were kind of joking Barstools. I was really excited to watch Portnoy and Big Cat from Barstool Sports be the color commentators for the Barstools.com Bowl, and that got canceled with Boise State and Central Michigan. Yeah. So it's disappointing for everybody, and even the fans and the gamblers.
Yeah, the gamblers for sure. We lost the legend the past couple of days. John Madden passed away. And, of course, I'm old enough to remember him as a coach. I remember him coaching the Raiders and stalking the sidelines, man. It was awesome. Then, of course, he was in the broadcast booth forever. And then, of course, a lot of people just know him from the game. But I mean, he crossed over so many generations.
There's no question. He and Pat Summerall, that's when I was a kid growing up, listening to those guys call the biggest game of the week. And I'm probably the millions of our fans. I've owned every single John Madden, every single one.
Had it.
And I've played every one every year.
Oh, that is
Even
awesome.
Even at my age now, I still go.
Well, he will be remembered forever.
He's an icon.
For sure. All right, we're going to take a quick break. We'll be back with our guest, Indy Kalu, when we come back.
All right, team, your favorite pro here. Now, look, we all know our Huddle Up fans now. We like our cars, but we also want a hometown discount, too. And lucky for us, all we need to do is make a short drive up I-45 North to Cowboy Kia, and lucky for us today.
Right here out there, Webb. There's Jason from Huddle Up.
We've got Mark Compton and Mark Webb here with us to tell a little bit more about Cowboy Kia.
Welcome. Hey, this is Mark Compton at Cowboy Kia. I got a few things for you. They need to come in, bring a friend, shake a hand, make a deal, but I got $500 off for Huddle Up.
Huddle Up.
Huddle Up. Huddle Up. Jason Alexander, $500 off. Black's House Service, Blue Jean Friendly.
That a baby. Now look, we've got the best in used and new cars here at Cowboy Kia.
Cowboy, baby.
Mark Webb's going to give you 2 free college football winners. Mark Compton's going to give you the best deal in town. Come visit him today.
All right, welcome back to Huddle Up. Bob Slovak, Jason Alexander with you. We got a special guest joining us right now from In the Trenches, Sports Talk 790's Indy Kalu. Indy, thanks for joining us here.
Indeed.
Thanks for having me. I did the show once before, really enjoyed it. So, Bob, Jason, I appreciate y'all bringing me back.
Oh, you got it. Happy New Year, Indy. How was your Christmas? You have a good one?
You know what? I'm not completely broke, so I wallet this Christmas.
Oh man, that's awesome. That's awesome. Hey, I'm gonna start first of all talking about a true legend of the game that we recently lost, and that's John Madden. You know, I'm old enough, Indy, to remember him as the coach of the Raiders, and then of course in the broadcast booth, and then the game. Just your thoughts and on the really the magnitude of his impression on the game.
You know, when you talk about branding yourself, branding individuals within the NFL, I don't know if there's a bigger brand than the late, great John Madden. When a Super Bowl winning head coach, in 10 years as a head coach, he never had a losing season. Then he becomes one of the most entertaining and effective broadcasters. Then he throws his name on the most popular video game where you're playing American football. And on top of all that, I had the chance to meet him when I was playing for the Eagles, and he was calling our Monday night game. Couldn't be a nicer human being. Like I talked about how when the Philadelphia Eagles met 3 people, there were 3 people that the players really went gaga over. It was The Rock, it was young LeBron James, and it was John Madden. So into the football field at practice, players in the middle of practice, that's John Madden. That's John Madden. And he couldn't be a nicer human being.
Did you ever check out Madden football to see what your rating was?
You know what I did, and what bothered me was my speed. I'm the best defensive end to ever play, but they didn't put any respect on my speed, so that was the one thing.
Oh my God.
Well, Indy, I was telling Bob, I've owned every single John Madden video game, along with probably countless others. But since 1989, I've bought it every single year. So he's going to be missed, and what a legend.
No, absolutely. And you couldn't put a better person as the face of that franchise. Just a great human being. That's pretty cool. Now, did you just own it, Jason, or did you own people when you played them?
Oh, both, Indy. I'm telling you, I even got into the online stuff. I'm 42 years old and I still do it. I just can't get enough of it. So every August we're ready to roll with Madden.
Oh my God, that's awesome. All right, we're going to talk some Texans, but before we talk about the Texans, I got to ask you, as a defensive lineman, Indy, your impression of the 2 the Washington football team defensive linemen, Payne and Allen, going at it on the sideline. What did you think?
I loved it. But you know what? This may be a different perspective. It may not. Washington football team, they have a good defense. The season isn't going the way they want, but they have a good defense with a lot of pride. And when you're playing against the Cowboys and they're hanging 50 on you, and I know some of those points came from special teams and from a pick 6, but you're bothered by it. And to have 2 guys so upset that they're losing the way they're losing, that they get into an altercation, I love it. And I'll tell you what I love more, Jason and Bob, is after the game, when I can't remember which one they interviewed, but they interviewed one of them, and he said, "That's my brother. Brothers get in fights all the time, and that's what happened. There's a lot of pride there, and I love seeing guys that are that passionate about their job that sometimes they might have to swing on one another."
And Indy, I agree with you, and I tell you, it's a lot better than being blown out by 50 and you're smiling over there on the sidelines. Those guys care. They got a lot of pride. I couldn't agree with you more.
I tell you what, don't put your finger in Allen's face because he's got a heck of a left cross or right cross. He came with it pretty good.
Indy, I got a quick question for you. What about Davis Mills? What's your take on Davis? Does he get another crack at it in 2022 as a starting quarterback for the Texans?
He better. You used a third-round pick on him. He only played 11 collegiate games. He's proven to get better as time goes on. I would love to see him end this season strong and at least going into next year have an opportunity where he can fight for a starting spot. But no matter what he does against the San Francisco 49ers and the Tennessee Titans to end the season, they should still bring in somebody for him to compete with, but he's earned the opportunity to compete for a starting job.
And look, I'm just a golf pro, but kind of looking at the quarterbacks coming out in the draft. I think Davis has proven enough where the Texans, if they get rid of Deshaun, get some draft picks, they can use that offense, defense, and secondary, and not have to worry about drafting a quarterback next year. And then we'll see what Davis has got. Worst case scenario, we get Bryce Young. If we tank again, we can get Bryce Young maybe in 23.
I'm 100% with you, Jason. I think next year should be spent on building around, not so much building around Davis Mills per se, but building around who's ever going to fill
the roster. Sure.
Exactly. So he's done enough, and you have to put the onus on the coaches. Keep in mind, we keep talking about these players, whether it's Zach Wilson, Trevor Lawrence, Trey Lance, all these young quarterbacks. They throw them out there, and if they don't have success, we're like, oh, what happened? Well, what about all these so-called gurus who get paid millions of dollars to coach them up?
Bob and I were talking about it. One of my last question for you, with you, I know you were at the end of David Carr's career with the Texans when you were the Texans, I believe, in 2006. But how important it is to come into an established offense and program, as Nick Saban says, but a program, with some of these rookies. But you look at Zach Wilson and Trevor Lawrence, not very good years, and you look at Mac Jones, who came into the Patriots, very established, and he's looked pretty good. But how important is that to come in to kind of a structure when you're a rookie?
No, it's very important. It's very important because you have so many different things you have to think about, you have to get used to, from the speed of the game to reading these complex defenses. If you're thrown into a situation where people are questioning whether or not your head coach is really a true head coach, or is he just a mouthpiece, who you should be listening to, Pep Hamilton or Tim Kelly, that's a lot of stuff that you don't want to deal with as a rookie, especially a rookie quarterback, because again, there's so many things you have to learn. When we have these so-called busts, it's not just the quarterback that fails, it's everybody around.
It's the situation, sure.
It's the coach. It's the situation he's in.
So a few weeks ago, there was a lot of chatter that David Culley's not going to be back, but all of a sudden they went 2 in a row, and everybody's like, okay, bring him back. I mean, your thoughts on that, Indy? I don't see any reason to change because the roster is going to continue to turn over.
Yeah, I mean, the feeling is they brought in David Culley to be the head coach during this time where the roster is depleted, and then when they get the talent that they want, they'll bring in the head coach they truly want. Yeah. If that's the plan, well, next year they're not going to have the roster that they want, so you might as well stick with them for at least one more year. But I hate that for David Culley.
Yeah.
Put in this position to hold it down.
When I said it earlier with Jason, the thing about Coach Culley is he's always the same. It doesn't matter if he's losing by 40 or winning, upsetting the Chargers. Yeah. Always the same, upbeat, let's go.
Indy, another quick question for you. What about the college players, this opting out deal? Look, COVID's one thing, but some of these studs getting ready for the draft, opting out. When you were at Rice, I mean, none of this was going on back in those days. I mean, what is your take on some of these superstars not playing their final game?
I hate it. It bothers me. I'm a football nerd. I want to see any and everyone who's healthy enough to play on the football field. But this is the first year where I said to myself, as much as I don't like seeing players opt out, I get it. And the reason I say that is because we saw 2 coaches of major programs leave in the middle of the season to take better jobs before the season was over. And Brian Kelly and Lincoln Riley.
Yeah, Lincoln Riley. Oklahoma, sure.
And Brian Kelly actually, they had a legitimate chance to be in the college football playoff.
They almost backdoored it. Yes.
And he left, and that bothers me more than seeing players opt out. So as much as I don't like it, Jason, I've said on my show that I do on Sports Talk 790, I'll never begrudge or talk bad about a player opting out if we have coaches who are supposed to be leaders of men saying, hey, even though the season's not over, I got a better opportunity. See you later. I would have more respect for those guys to take the job, but to tell for Brian Kelly to tell LSU, I want the job, I love it, but I can't come over until I finish what I started.
I'm starting January 5th. That's it.
Could have done it. Could have done it. The other side of that is the COVID issues, and we've got bowl games getting canceled the day before, right before the kickoff. I heard you on your radio show a while ago saying you got 100 players on your roster. You got to be able to come up with 35 that'll play. And I love what you said about walk-ons. Let them play.
No, why not? They know the playbook. They're busting every single day. Just like, look, I played with some guys that I didn't even realize they were walk-ons because I thought they were that good. They did everything we did. And after a year, they earned a scholarship. I was like, oh, you were paying? Like, you were paying to come to school here and doing that? Oh, they absolutely should get every opportunity to play. And for UCLA to pull out hours before kickoff, that's just a shame for those seniors on the North Carolina State football team who knew that was going to be their last football game.
I couldn't agree more.
I'm telling you. Well, Indy, good catching up with you, my man. We got a lot of football still to come. Who's your pick for the national championship?
You know what? I got to go Alabama. I know it's cliche. It's not anything. I would love to see Cincinnati just stir it up and change the game or shock everybody. But if I was putting money on it, I'll put on Alabama.
I like I know Nick Saban's thought process, but one of his players in an interview yesterday said, we're the underdog. And I'm like going, what? Alabama's never the underdog. But that's the thought process, trying to put the chip on his shoulder.
He's trying to get him there. Ain't going to be. Yeah.
I don't know. All right, Indy, thank you so much for joining us here on Huddle Up. Indy Kalu in the trenches, Sports Talk 790, Monday through Friday, man. Indy, you have a great new year.
Y'all, too. Thanks for having me on. Anytime you need me, I'm here for it.
Indy, we'll get you and Vince Young set up at Carlton Woods for a little showdown here in 22.
You told me how to swing that thing. I forgot, so I need some training before I take him.
He's definitely the man.
I'm your guy.
All right, more Huddle Up when we come back.
All right, team, your favorite pro here reporting live from the club. Now, look, in order to hit a pure golf shot, we have to do three things. We have to assess, strategize, and execute. And I'm going to tell you, the same three things apply if you're in the market for a loan. Woo! And after absolutely piping one, lucky for us, we have Jake Snortland here to tell us more about it.
Thanks, Jason. That is correct. Here at Triumph Lending, we assess, strategize, and execute in getting our borrowers the best deals possible. So feel free to give me a call. My number is 832-639-1455. And no matter if you're looking to purchase a home or refinance your current mortgage, I can get you the best deal out there today.
That's the golden trifecta for Triumph Lending. Give them a call today.
All right, joining us here on Huddle Up, my good friend Jim Hicks from RCS Sports. He's also the co-host of the Chop Shop that you can hear Monday through Thursday, 12 p.m., YouTube and Facebook. Jim, how are you, man? You told me you're up in Minneapolis, man. It's kind of cold, isn't it?
Indeed, man. That's an understatement. The cold, -8 degrees. How you like that, Houston?
Yeah, exactly. I think we're going to have 80 here again today. Unbelievable. Hey, tell me why you're up there. You're up there for a big basketball tournament. Tell me all about it.
Yes, it's an inaugural George Floyd Classic, which is hosted by the Minnesota Black Basketball Coaches Association. It's on the college campus, and it's 4 teams, but it's a mission behind this. And Yates is one of the teams that basically they felt compelled to not even to initiate this thing without having Yates attend. That's the school, the former school of the late great George Floyd. When I say great, I mean in regards to the inspirations that he's given people and awareness that unfortunately his death has created and a lasting effect in a lot of people's lives. So for Yates High School, the Coaches Association, they flew them up here, housed them, and they get to play 2 games. One game on the first game was on Tuesday, and the second game, of course, is on Wednesday. The tournament concludes, and on Thursday, the team will get to do a lot of sightseeing, which includes traveling to the plaza for where George Floyd was tragically killed on May the 26th of 2019. So it's going to, a lot of these kids, you have to realize, man, you know, Yates, this is not the Yates basketball team of 2010. This is not them of 2013. This is not the team that went to state a couple of years ago. They're in a rebuilding phase right now. And they, you know, and the term that a lot of people use, which is often true, but it is used to describe when you're rebuilding, people always say, man, they're young. Man, we're young. Yes, you hear that a lot. Well, Yates does start 2 freshmen in this lineup. And one of the freshmen, of course, well, since I said 2, one is named Deshaun Scott. He's about 6'3". He has a chance to be really special. But the other freshman in the starting lineup is probably the future of Yates, the next guy, the next best thing, or the next guy up in a couple of years. Now, you guys are very familiar with this name, and you're very familiar with the grandfather. And however, and I present you with the name. Remember this. His name is Calvin Murphy III.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. So that's, you know, he's but this team, you know, a lot of these guys, they never even saw snow before.
So wasn't he at Fort Bend Christian for a while? I think he went to school there for a while. But
probably in the middle school, the 9th grader right now.
I know, because my daughter is a 9th grader, and she used to go to Fort Bend Christian, and she knew him. And she used to always talk about him.
There you go.
He said, yeah, she actually goes to Foster now. But man, Greg Weiss does a great job year in and year out. I mean, and we know when he gets this kind of talent, that young talent like that, man, he is going to mold them into something special. We know that. Yeah. I mean, you build it there coming. And the thing about it, a lot of people realize that the style of play, one thing about Yates, if you play in that program, you will get plenty of time to shoot balls. You just got to learn how to play defense, and you have to be in grand of conditioning to do all that running up and down the floor and all those presses that Greg Wise used. But this Yates played last night, and they were on the unfortunate side of defeat, whereas they lost the game to the host school, Minneapolis North High School, which is one of the top schools. They were ranked preseason number 3 in the entire state of Minnesota. This team, coached by Larry McKenzie, he's actually one of the organizers of the Black Basketball Coaches Association. And they beat Yates. I think the final score was, it wasn't good at all, Bob. It was 95-49. We don't hear that much. Yeah, that doesn't happen at a whole lot of states.
And it was because you got to realize Yates came out in the first half. They had shots. They just did not make shots.
All right. Hey, I wanted to get your thoughts. Teams to watch, first of all, and of course, I think that has to start with the Atascocita and Summer Creek. I had the honor, and you were at the game as well. We televised that fabulous Region 3 final last year. Are those the 2 teams that are going to be there again?
Well, one thing about it, they're in the same district, and the first time that they met this year was another overtime game, Bob. You mentioned that Region 3 finals earlier back in March. They went overtime last week when they met in first round district play.
Wow.
This is one of the it's morphed into one of the greatest rivalries in all of Greater Houston. It's gonna be an airplane going over my head. I'm outside my hotel room. But this Atascocita is a favorite. They've won. They've only lost 4 games going into this weekend. This week's game tournament. They're in the Vite tournament that's taking place and will conclude this afternoon. And if I'm not mistaken, Atascocita is indeed, I think, in the semifinals going into their game. They are. This is one of the better shooting teams in the state.
Wow.
And I'm talking about shooting, meaning they have an abundance of guards who can make stuff happen and can make shots. Angel Johnson is the key, he's the nucleus of the team. He makes them go. And in regard to getting, and of course you have Connor Miller who can shoot that thing. You have Paris Marquez. You have Caleb Pouncey. He's a forward on the inside who leads the team in rebounding. You have Landon Jumawan, and he's a transfer from Hawaii. He was an all-state player 2 years ago in Hawaii. And the pandemic, they moved and relocated him, and they shut the state down. They moved to Houston, and he briefly enrolled at Humble High School. They bought a home in the Atascocita zone, and he was cleared to play at Atascocita, and he's a very integral piece of their success. For Summer Creek, Coach Coleman, you got to realize he's the bow tie wearing bandit. He gets done over there. He's very, very passionate with his program, and this team. Think about it. Despite losing Amari Abram, he was their leading scorer last year. He transferred to one of the prep schools in California. They also lost a starting forward who transferred over to Episcopal. He was a freshman who started. That was about 6'4". This team here, they are good. Summer Creek they're fast, they're tough, they're gritty. I like them. Now, at the same time, they don't have to worry about beating Atascocita initially. Here's why. Atascocita is going to come in first place in that district. Summer Creek will come in second place. C.E. King will make a push for the third spot. Now, first and second go on different sides of the bracket, Bob. So that means you don't have to meet them. Only time you meet them is like they met last season.
In the Region 3 final. Well, I look forward to that. I look forward to that for sure, for sure. Hey, in 5A, I noticed that the Pato, are they having a good season? I know in the preseason they were ranked pretty high.
Yeah, I mean, Katie Pato, they're 5A, and of course you have Charles Chuckwood, and he's about 6'8". He's a senior at the school, and he's signed with Tulsa. He's big, built like Shrek. I'm telling you, if you haven't seen them guys play.
Like Shrek?
Yeah, just like, I mean, he's strong, man. I mean, brute strong. And, of course, it's not just Charles. You have Trevor Frank. He's the point guard who leads the show for these guys, who gets everything going. Trevor Frank and Charles Chuckwood, they're the dynamic duo. This team is definitely one of the favorites to advance and return to the regional tournament in 5A. But you know who the elephant in the room when you're talking about 5A. You can't dare talk about the playoffs without one team being mentioned.
And that is?
Beaumont United. You know?
Okay. Beaumont United.
Went undefeated last year, won the state 5A championship. They returned. Understand about this Beaumont United team that made it so dynamic. They only had 2 seniors on the roster last year.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
And of those 2 seniors on the roster last year, only one of them was in the rotation. Well, the other one, and that's one that was in the and the other one, and they had 1 junior on the roster last year. 2 seniors on the roster, 1 junior. That 1 junior is now a senior. That's Terrence Arsenault, who signed with the University of Houston. He's the number 1 player in the area. He's about 6'7". He's the best defensive wing in the state of Texas.
Wow.
He had 9 blocked shots in the state championship game this past March. Terrence Arsenault is the real deal. However, it's not just Arsenault. Remember, this year's Beaumont United team, they only have 2 seniors on the roster. That means everybody comes back next year.
Comes back.
Wesley Yates III is the name to remember on that team. Wesley Yates III.
Wesley Yates. Hey, so tell me what RCS Sports has got coming up. What do you got going on?
Well, right now, this is the time we're going into the new year, and we're looking at and we're putting everything together for 2022, a lot of our season and a lot of our upcoming events. Our next event actually is the sub-high school level, because we thought of something that's kind of really unique, and that is the middle school citywide championship. That's going to take place in February, I think February the weekend after Valentine's Day. I think it's the 20th, something like that. And basically what the concept is, we're taking the champion and the runner-up from every district in the greater Houston area, right? And those teams, that means it's invite, you have to qualify to even be a part of this tournament. And those teams will play in a tournament to determine the true citywide champion of the one 8th grade division, one 7th grade division. And that event will take place at Booker T. Washington High School. And, for more information, just go to rcssports.com, look on the upcoming events, and you'll see that. And also, we're also preparing for the spring icebreaker, which is it's the largest basketball showcase in the country.
All right. Well, listen, I really appreciate you joining me here and getting us up to catch up on what's going on high school wise, man. You stay warm up there and get back down here so you can get rid of those sweaters. You don't need them down here. So, but I sure appreciate your time, man, and your insight on the high school basketball, Jim.
Oh man, thanks so much, Bob. Man, anytime we can talk hoops. Anytime, baby, anytime.
We could talk all day is what we could do. All right, Jim, stay warm, buddy. Stay warm.
Always good to catch up with my friend Jim Hicks there. He knows the high school basketball scene in and out. Hey, coming up, Pros Picks.
Are you kidding me, Bob? Pros Picks after the break. Let's get it on, baby.
All right, we'll be right back.
Okay, team, look, calling a 20-second timeout to give you a hot take from the consummate pro on why everybody needs their own private golf cart, whether it's cruising around the neighborhood with a beverage of choice, living in a gated community, a vacation home, the golf course, and at the end of the day, chicks just dig it. Come down to Conroe Golf Cars, and oh my goodness, look here, we've got City Councilman Kurt Maddox here to tell us a little bit more about it.
Well, hey, Jason, my fellow lumberjack. Hey, not only am I the city councilman, also VP of Conroe Golf Cars. We've been here since 1974 and glad to have you. We sell them, we rent them, we build them. So we can do whatever you want. Everybody walks in here and says, hey, let me see your new car, your used car product. I said, well, these are all our used cars. So we start from the ground up, Jason. We take the cars in on trade, clean them up, put new batteries, lift them, do whatever. We call it a little cocktail cart or just a fun cart, recreational cart. So you can either buy it, rent it, or do whatever you want.
Kurt, I love it, and I'm going to tell you what. Listen to Kurt Maddox and the Consummate Pro. Come out and visit us here at Conroe Golf Cars today.
All right, back for our favorite segment of this show, of course, is Pros Picks with Jason Alexander. All right, Jason, we're going to jump right in. We've got the semifinals coming up on Friday.
2:30.
2:30, Cincinnati against Alabama. The Bearcats getting 2 touchdowns.
They're getting 2 touchdowns, Bob. It's 13.5 to 14.5, depending on what book you're looking at. And look here, this is one of my favorite plays of the weekend. We're going to ride the Cincinnati Bearcats to a cover. I think this is going to be a closer ball game than the nation expects. The secondary for the Bearcats, we got Sauce Gardner, Kobe Bryant, who's switching his number to number 8 to honor Kobe Bryant, which I'm going to tell you, the book's open. The story has been written for this to come down to the wire. We're riding Dylan Reader, and I'm telling you, the coaching staff for Cincinnati, they're going to bring a great game plan into this game. John Mechie's out, Alabama star wide receiver. So, look, Cincinnati covers the 14. I've got it right around 28-27. Bama wins by a eyelash.
All right, Georgia, Michigan in the second semifinal. Georgia giving 7 points, so you're going to go ahead and give that touchdown.
We're gonna ride the Bulldogs here. Michigan, what a great story. I love John Harbaugh. I think they've had an amazing year, upsetting Ohio State to win the Big Ten championship. But look, if Georgia and Alabama didn't play in the SEC championship, this line would be around 12. Okay? That one game cost Georgia quite a bit. They still have the best roster in the country, the best defense in the country. Michigan's not going to be able to run the ball. Cade McNamara's going to have to make some throws through there. He's going to throw a couple picks. I think Georgia wins this by 13. It won't be an easy cover, but Georgia wins by double digits to go on and face Alabama in the final.
All right, another big bowl game coming up. Oklahoma State and Notre Dame. The Cowboys getting a point. You like that?
I do. I think Oklahoma State, look, they were a half a yard from winning the Big 12 and possibly backing into the final of the playoffs. The playoffs, Bob, in that showdown against Baylor in the Big 12 championship. And look, I love their roster. I love their defense. I don't think Notre Dame, Jack Cohn, I think he's been okay all year against their schedule. This is going to be a different level of defense they're going to play against the Oklahoma State Cowboys. I think Oklahoma State wins kind of a grudgy type game, but I think it's going to be around 21-14. They win outright. We're not going to need the point. Ride the Cowboys.
All right, moving over to the NFL now. Big game on Sunday afternoon. The Cardinals at the Cowboys. Cardinals getting 5.5. You like Arizona?
I do like Arizona plus the 5.5 just because of their roster. Still one of the best teams in the NFL. They've been on a little 3-game skid. Hadn't looked as good. The NFL is an overreaction league. All of a sudden, Dak, they're going to win the Super Bowl after they thwarted the football team on Sunday night. This is going to be a ball game. I think it'll be 3 points either way. We're going to take the 5.5, bet the number, and see if we can get a little cover for the Arizona Cardinals. I know they're traveling to Dallas, but look, Kyler Murray is going to get off the schneid here before too long. Look out.
I'm going to listen to you and everything you just said, but that Cowboys defensive front.
They're looking good, but Arizona's defense pretty good as well. So Dallas ain't going to drop 50 on the Cardinals.
Okay. All right, Falcons at the Bills. Man, Atlanta getting 14.5.
They are, and this is more of a franchise bet. I think Matt Ryan, consummate professional, he's going to keep the Falcons in this game. Atlanta's going to play hard. Buffalo's got the much better roster. But 14.5, it might take Grandma to open that back door for a late touchdown to get the cover. I think this will be between a 10 and a 17-point game. I think we're going to ride the 14.5 in the Falcons.
It's in Buffalo, correct?
It is in Buffalo, so look at the weather.
The weather could be crazy.
It could be crazy. So that's a lot of points for an NFL football game. We're going to ride it.
If the weather's bad, I think the Falcons are the pick there. Bengals at KC. You like the Bengals getting 5.5?
You know, I bet against KC all year. I've had enough of Pat Mahomes and Andy Reid. I don't think they're very good. I've said it every week now. They're on a heater right now, but look out for Joe Burrow. He's one of my favorite NFL players. I think he's a top 5 quarterback in the league. Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Joe Mixon. They're loaded on offense. 5.5's too much. Look for an upset in Kansas City to end the Chiefs' winning streak. I like Burrow and the Bengals.
Burrow threw for 500+, man. I'm telling you.
He's on a heat check. Look out.
He is on fire. All right, so those are the picks of the week. Hey, what a good week we've had here. Happy New Year to everybody. It's good. Be safe now in your celebration.
Let's be safe. Let's have a big time and get ready for a huge 2022.
I'm ready for it. All right, for Jason Alexander, I'm Bob Slovak. Thanks for joining us here on Huddle Up.